Well, I'm super excited, you guys. I was thinking about this today is like a lot of you guys have known the last like 3 years has been so hard for me, like health wise. And I feel so happy to be in a place where I have like the energy and the mental capacity to like pour into you guys again because I haven't done a mentorship in it's been a while. Um, so my whole premise for this was I look at what I have accomplished and how much this business has changed my life in the last 7 years. And just the different scenarios of life that I have gone through, the different seasons of life where this business has provided, fulfillment and friendships and travel and also financial freedom. And not just financial freedom, but time freedom. I am extremely motivated by time freedom. I don't like following somebody else's rules. I don't like being told what to do. Um, but the beautiful thing now that I'm seeing where I'm at is that I have time to do other things I'm excited about. It's part of why I started a podcast. um, it's what's allowing me now that I'm in a new relationship to spend disconnected days when he's off work. Like it's providing so much for me time freedom wise and financial freedom wise that I never could have pictured when I first started my business because I was at a totally different place in my life. And so I made a couple slides for tonight. They're very basic, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about like maybe you don't know my full story or where I started or kind of how things have changed over the years, but I'm hoping that maybe it will inspire you to dream a little bit bigger for your life and your business and also just know what's possible because the main reason I decided to start this mentorship was I really want to work hands on with coaches that are coachable, that want to show up, that are willing to do the work, that take action, that fail forward, that take risks, that are here to learn and grow and just sees all this opportunity has to give. And it's hard sometimes for me to try and compartmentalize the most important things to teach you about business because there's so many things and business is ever changing and we're talking about social media and reels and this and that, but I still believe that the core basics of what it takes to be successful in this business are just a handful of things. It comes down to crafting a vision and setting goals and mastering the basics of this business, connecting, the inviting, the sharing the coaching opportunity. And one of the things I'm going to cover in this that we haven't talked a lot about is volume and placement and income building because I was not really taught income uh, strategy when I was a new coach. And so I basically winged it and I was like, I'm just going to recruit as many people as possible to make as much money as I possibly can. And if I could have done things differently, I would have taken the time to better understand the business side of things, of placement, of volume, of where the smartest place to build my business was, of how important it was to bring on coaches that wanted to work the business with me, because that's what really grows a residual income in the long term. Hitting Success Club alone is not going to build you a business that's going to drastically change your life, right? It's going to help you make money. It's going to help you maybe make a part-time income. But one of the things that Elizabeth Harkey, said to us when I was a newer coach, and it was the same thing that Keith Callahan did, is that you can think about it like this. You can recruit, say, 10 challengers a month, right? And typically people might stay on for 2 to 6 months. You're going to lose a handful of them. A couple of them are going to stick around. They're going to stay in your challenge groups, right? That's good volume. It might be commission if they're signed up as a customer. Or you can find 2 working coaches that want to do the same thing as you, that want to get out there, that want to help people, that are willing to hit Success Club. And you're going to grow your business exponentially faster doing it that way versus always hustling just to recruit numbers. And that was where I kind of didn't catch that in the beginning because I was so focused on like, I'm going to help everybody and bring it, like hit SC20 every single month and bring on a bajillion customers. But in the long run, you spend less energy and probably the same amount of time if you were to focus not as much on bringing as many customers and as you are on finding people that want to do this business with you, right? So we're going to talk more about volume and placement and strategy. And if you guys want to, we can look at your specific business because it's different for everybody. What your right leg looks like compared to your left, and where you want to be placing people, especially when you get to diamond and you make the most per cycle, where you should be stacking, your customers and coaches, especially working coaches, to maximize your income. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, and we're going to talk about really sharing the coaching opportunity. I was actually having a call with two good friends of mine today that I started coaching with years ago. They were my success partners at some point in time, but now we're just good friends. And one of them was talking about how she just got back from a retreat, and they had Scotty Hobbs, who's one of the most successful male coaches in the business. I don't know if you're familiar, but he was talking about his key to sharing the coaching opportunity has been that I don't know if you guys like have been around enough to hear this, but we always say, like, share your story, share where you started, like share how hard things were for you, like share why you became a coach, right? And I do that a lot, but I also don't love going back to where I was at in my life at that point in time, because I was in a really desperate place, and I don't always like thinking about it or talking about it, right? And it doesn't necessarily attract people that are going to go all in and build a business like I was, because I'm attracting people who are in desperate circumstances, newly single moms. They left abuse. They're in a shitty situation. They're at rock bottom in life, right? And you really have to be one of those people that's like, screw it, I'm going all in and I'm going to change my life. What he was saying, the shift he made that helped him attract business builders, was he started to talk about where he was going. He started to talk about his vision and what he wanted to achieve and what he wanted to do for his family and how he wanted to be present for his kids, the type of financial freedom that he desired to have, even before he had that level of success. And if you follow a lot of top coaches, they talk about those things. Holly Hillier, she's another great one to follow that talks about this all the time. She talks about the dream home they're building, or the lake cabin that she wants to have for her family. And the reason she wants to have that is because it's what she had as a child, right? Like, so often we dream big and we have these visions for our families, myself included. I am totally guilty of this. I have a big, huge vision board that sits in front of me at my desk every day. I rarely ever talk about or share the things that are on it or why they are on there. And I think it's so profound to just think about, as you get clear, as we talk about vision tonight, to think about how you can breadcrumb those things into what you're sharing and into what you're posting, because people catch that passion, right? When you see somebody who is fired up, they're excited, they're inspired, they're doing something that's making them feel better and happier and healthier, and now they're talking about how it's changing their family's life, people want to know what you're doing, right? So coaching opportunity sharing is going to be one of the topics we cover. I think I put the Google sheet in the training page, but I don't think anybody could open it. So I'll share it again if you couldn't. Rocking your conversations, overcoming objections, all that good stuff. We're going to really, so if there's something specifically that you feel like you struggle with or that is holding you back, I want you to reach out to me and just let me know so that I make sure to cover that on these mentoring calls. I want to help you walk out of this time that we spend together. I didn't put a time limit on it. It might take us 2 months. It might be 3 months. I don't think it really matters. I'm just here because I want to help you feel like you are confident and you have the skills and you kind of have a breakdown of the goals that you should push for to actually make the things you want to achieve possible for you. Because there's nothing more that I feel at this point in my business where I'm like, this has completely changed my life. I want to pay that gift forward to those of you that are willing to take that action and show up and apply the things you learn and really go for it in your own life. So with that said, we're going to talk about vision tonight. And I first want to tell you a story of the first ever Super Saturday that I went to. I was maybe 4 months into coaching at the time. I knew absolutely no one. I think I went as an Emerald coach, and I went to the Orlando Super Saturday, which used to be run by Allie Upham. If you're not familiar with her, you should check her out on Instagram. She's awesome. She keeps it very simple, and she's very successful. She is someone who was a fitness trainer. She was homeless when she started this business, living on her friend's couch. She got into it because something along the lines of she used to teach turbo classes at the gym and she wasn't making a ton of money. She was six figures in debt. And she got up on the stage and she told this story about how she started coaching, about how she fell in love with helping other people and helping them be healthier and happier. And they showed transformation stories and they shared coach success stories. And she talked about how she had grown a 6-figure income and she had paid off all her debt and, all of these things. And I was just like floored. Like me coming into the business, I hadn't really heard any success stories yet. I hadn't really been surrounded by the community of coaching. Maybe I had caught things here and there in a training of like what people had done, but I hadn't actually like seen it in real life before my own eyes. Someone telling their story of how drastically different their life was because they went all in with this business. And at that point in time, I was a newly single mom. I was coming out of an abusive relationship. I was emotionally broken. I was, physically not super healthy. I was very unhappy. I had no self-confidence. And I financially didn't know what I was going to do to support us, but I also desperately wanted to be home with my baby. And it was like, I kind of had that choice, just like you guys have this choice now, whether you started a year ago or you started 2 months ago. It doesn't really matter when. It matters the mindset shift when you decide to take this business seriously, as if you were to take this a full-time job where you get hired and you have to show up every day, no matter what, whether you feel like it or not, right? Because that was how I approached this business. I approached it like I had paid for 4 years of college to get a degree, to go do this job, and I was going to treat it and show up every single day like it was my be all end all, because I didn't have a backup plan and I didn't want one. I wanted to go full time with coaching and I wanted to be home with my baby, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing that. And I failed forward. I wasn't very confident. I didn't know what I was doing. If you go back and look at posts that I made as a new coach, they are so awful. It's like me holding up a bag of Shakeology and I'm like, join me, right? But all of those failures and taking action when you're excited, it doesn't really matter if you do things perfectly. It just matters that you are showing up and you have a vision for where you're going and you are determined to figure it the fuck out, right? So with that said, I have a little slide I'm going to share with you guys. If my screen share will work. Uh-oh, I froze, I think. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Dun-dun-dun. All right. Can you guys see this? Hopefully, yes. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about vision and having a CEO mindset. I don't know why I keep freezing. Okay, so first and foremost, let's see if this goes back. It jumped on me. Okay. The reason I say this, clarity of vision gives us direction, intention to take action on, and guidance on the goals that we would like to achieve, is because I have been, obviously, a lot of different seasons of my business over the last 7 years. And I know exactly how I show up when my vision is clear versus how I do show up when my vision is kind of cloudy or blurry, or I'm not 100% set on what I'm showing up for, right? Like I just shared with you at the beginning of my business, I was hell-bent on what I wanted and where I was going and what I was going to achieve, even though I didn't know half the time what I was doing. I was committed to learn along the way, and I was committed to showing up every day, right? And then I want to say maybe about 5.5 years into my business, I had achieved the custody battle that I was going through. I paid for that all with income that I had made with coaching. I was full-time. I was making a full-time income. Our team had hit the top 200 in the company. Like, I had achieved all of these things that I had originally set out to do. And that's a dangerous place to be. And I tell you this now because I never want you to make the mistake that I did of not setting new goals once you achieve goals, or not crafting and getting clear on a new vision once something in your life shifts or changes for you, whether it is because of this business or because of something else, right? Because when you do not have clarity of vision, you don't have that driver and that emotional intention that's going to make you show up, right? When you have a clear vision of, like, for example, I would like to be able to only work my job part-time. I would like to be able to drop my kids off in the morning. I would like to be able to pick them up from school. I would like to be able to take them to sports. I would like to be able to take 2 family vacations a year, or whatever that is, right? And that's far from your reality right now, but you have such clarity on what that is going to feel like, on what it's going to be like spending time with your kids, on how awesome it's going to be to pick them up and take them for a donut and go to the playground, right? I thought about all of those little things. I thought about all the little things that I didn't want to miss, all the things I wanted to be able to do. And I had such clarity around it that even though that was not my current circumstance, I knew exactly what it was going to be like when I got there, because I planned it long before it actually happened, right? Now, when you have that type of clarity, you know that when you don't feel like doing a power hour and you don't feel like doing a workout today and you don't feel like showing up on social media, that you're like, well, if I want to get to that vision that I have to pick my kids up and take them for donuts and go to the park, I better figure it out. I better show up, right? And there was a lot of days, a lot of times that I didn't feel like it, but not feeling like it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. And I had a lot of desperation in the beginning, which I'm going to kind of get to later, because depending on what it is you want to do with this business, it's going to feel different energetically. And I never want you to feel like stressed or chaotic or anxious, or like you have to work yourself to the bone and into the ground to achieve your goals. That's a good recipe for burnout. I've done it many times. It's why I talk now about setting boundaries, about having business hours, about knowing the most important behaviors to take action on so that you can reach the goals you have while also maintaining joy in your life, right? But the point of this is, you have to have clarity of where you want this business to take you and how it's going to change your life, because that is what's going to drive you to show up and take those small, seemingly insignificant actions every single day that don't feel like they're getting you anywhere, that don't feel like they're compounding too much. But over the course of time, I can tell you this personally, when you hit Success Club every single month for 7 years in a row, and you share the coaching opportunity and you post on social media and you connect with people, those small, consistent actions compound to the most magnificent changes of people changing their lives, of you finding your best friends, of you making more income for your family, of you being more present with your children, of you being a happier, more confident version of you, because you look back at what you've accomplished and you're like, holy shit, considering you maybe never thought that was possible for you, right? So I want you to ask yourself, and you can take some time to reflect on this later, what is your vision for your life and for your business for the next year? And what is your vision for your life and your business for the next 5 years? Write it down, make a vision board, connect to it in some capacity every single day. So I personally have my vision board taped right in front of my office desk. And I will tell you a couple things that are on here that are actually happening in my life right now that I'm not crazy to tell you about this. So on here, I have a podcast in a collaboration with Leslie, who is my friend that I actually just launched the podcast that I started with. I have author, which still scares me a little bit, but it's staying on there because I do want to write a book. I have travel, I have girls weekend, I have quality time with my son and my family, nature walks. I put all of the things that I want to be a part of my typical reality. They're not all like goals, if that makes sense. They're more like quality of life goals. I have discipline plus disconnect, because I want that to be a reminder to myself to be disciplined, to take action, do focused work in my business, and then to disconnect and live my life. I have earned 6 figures in 1 year. I have a 2021 coach retreat on there because that's in the works to be planned. And then on the bottom, I have a lot of things about finding love in my life and date nights and things like that. And what do you know? I'm now in a happy relationship. But these are things that I focused and I fixated on for months and months and months, focused on every single day before it actually became time for those things to happen, or to make the decision to start them, or to allow them to come into my life, right? What you focus on all of the time is what you are pulling into your life. So if you are focusing on the fact that you don't feel like you can be successful, that you can never find any coaches, or that you don't have enough money, or whatever it is, right? You have to be aware of what you are focusing on every single day, and focus more on the things that you want to happen in your life and have happen in your life. Because that's really powerful, right? It's really powerful. And it also gives you an entirely different energy if you sit down and you connect to what it is you want your life to look like and feel like, and how you want to spend your time, right? Versus sitting down and thinking like, I'm going to show up today and I guess I'll see what happens, right? Totally different. All right. Action is usually driven by two things: inspiration or desperation. I learned this from Keith Callahan when I was a newer coach. And like I mentioned earlier, my business being built was driven by desperation. It absolutely was. I was in a back against the wall situation. I didn't have a plan B. I had to make this work for me. And as uncomfortable as it is to be in a desperate place in your life, it also forces you to not be complacent, right? Because when we're comfortable sometimes and life is good enough, sometimes we just stay there. And I say this too because I have felt kind of complacent in my business and my life the last year. It's why I've been changing a lot of things up, because we all hit those spaces where we've grown, we've changed. Things in our life have changed. What we want changes, right? And if we feel just comfortable, is that good enough? I know for me personally, I don't want a life that's just good enough. I want a life that I love waking up to every single day, even if that means that sometimes I have to change things up, get honest with myself, remove things from my life, add things to my life, whatever that is. Now, in terms of your business, I'm going to guess that some of you may have some desperation in your vision for yourself in regards to leaving a job or having more financial freedom for your family. But it also might be inspiration for you. And inspiration is equally as powerful. And I feel like it has less of that, like I have to get myself out of this feeling. So you have to work a little harder sometimes to create urgency around getting to your goals if it's more so coming from inspiration. I say that because that's kind of where I'm at now. The things that I want in my business and in my life are more driven by the quality of life I desire to live, and the legacy I want to leave, and the women that I want to serve, and how I just want to spend my time, right? And that's all based off inspiration. It's not saying that my life isn't awesome right now. It's just saying that there are certain things in my life that I would like to grow and change and improve upon, because what's the point if we're not growing and going somewhere in life, right? So you have to decide what that is for you, but just know you either have to feel insanely inspired when you look at your vision board, or you need to feel a little bit desperate, like, oh my gosh, I need to show up to get myself there. And maybe it's a combination of both, right? So these were just some questions that I wrote that you can reflect upon. And I'm actually going to also post in the mentorship group for you. I'm going to post like a vision exercise so you can go through that too. But I just wanted to prompt you with some questions that you can ask yourself if you're trying to get clarity on this vision. Is, how do you want to spend your days and your time? What makes you feel fulfilled? Who do you want to spend your time with? What quality of life and health do you desire? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel is a big one. How do you want to feel is an extremely motivating question for me, because I want to feel security and safety and at ease and at peace in my life and joyful, right? And time freedom and financial freedom and spending time with people I love and serving others, those make me feel those things. So I'm very motivated by asking myself, how do I want to feel? And then kind of aligning what it is I'm going for with that feeling, if that makes sense. How do you want to feel financially? What would you love to do with your family? What makes you feel motivated to push for more in your life? And then the bottom one can be kind of eye-opening, but that's what stresses you out in your life. Like, what on a regular basis? I just made a reel on this because I feel like it's so important. Like, we often think like, what do I need to do? What do I need to add to my life? What do I need to do more of? And we don't often think of like, what stresses me out? What things in my life do I not enjoy doing right now? What things on a weekly basis make me feel like drained and like the life got sucked out of me, right? Like, what things annoy me? Like, what things in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day reality, do you wish could be different? And are they things that coaching and growing your business could change for you? Because for me, a lot of the shit that stressed me out and a lot of the things that still currently stress me out in my life are things that can be changed with this business, right? Like, this business has so many facets to it. So whether it's you are financially stressed out, the business can change that, right? Whether you feel isolated and alone, you lean more into the coaching community and the friendships, and you feel like you belong now, right? Like, there are, if maybe it's like you're sick of being stuck at home and you want to travel, well, guess what? You hit Success Club every single month. You can go on the Success Club trip next year. Like, this business has so many different components and facets that can bless so many different aspects and areas of your life when you fully seize this opportunity for all that it has to offer. Okay, I wanted to touch on this really quickly because I noticed when I was going over a lot of the responses on the questions that I prompted you guys with. And this was something, I don't know if you were on that call that Kathy Reuter did for our team, but she talked kind of about this. And it was something we learned in our training with Bob Heelig. And it's honestly something I feel like I was missing my whole business. And maybe I was trying to work around, but it wasn't such a direct, like, this is what you have to like look at. Nor was it something that I ever brought up in mentoring. And I think it's something that's so important to bring up is I saw quite a few comments about lacking confidence or worries about judgment, um, or you're not really sure of like what you should be doing to get where you want to go, right? Those types of things. It is so important. I can tell you one of the most determining factors of if you will have the success you desire in this business is your willingness to grow personally and your willingness to work through the shit that holds you back in your life. And I tell you this because a lot of times we will have a certain level of success and then we will sabotage and we'll go backwards. Or we'll get to something new and we think, oh my gosh, how did I even achieve that? I'm a fake, like, I'm a fraud. Like, if people knew who I really was, they'd know I couldn't actually get here, right? Like, imposter syndrome. Or you just don't necessarily feel worthy and deserving of the goals and the life that you desire to have. And it can even be simple things like when you sit down to invite, you're like, everybody's going to say no to me because nobody has the time right now, or nobody has the money to invest in what I'm doing, or everyone's going to think I'm a sleazy salesperson if I invite them to the coaching opportunity because they think I'm just inviting them to sell something, right? Those are all beliefs that we have. We personally have lots of them. They vary based on who we are, the circumstances we lived through, the things we've experienced in life, things that have happened to us thus far in our business, the things we consume on a regular basis, right? It varies with so many things, but I think it is so important for you to remember that if you feel like you are stuck or you are hitting a wall or there's something you would like to be doing but you're not doing it, that there is always a reason, and it typically comes back to a belief you have, right? For example, because this one's relatable and I saw it in the group, if you fear judgment, I want you to ask yourself what the belief is underlying that. Let's say you have a belief that if you share something personal, people are going to judge you for it, which creates an icky feeling. And then it leads to you not taking action to share the things you really wish you could be sharing, right? Or let's say you have a belief that, give me a belief, somebody drop me one. No, nobody. Nobody wants to throw a limiting belief at me. Okay, I'll take another one that I've heard mentoring coaches over the years. I can't be successful because I'm not at my goal weight. I can't be successful helping other people because I'm not at my goal weight, right? No, there's there's a lot of, I think I have to look a certain way or be a certain way or hit a certain level of success before people will trust me to coach them or mentor them or guide them, right? Which is not how our business works. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be at our goal weight. We don't have to have abs. We don't have to have business success. We don't have to be making a ton of money. But that's a belief. It's a belief that I am not good enough as I am to help other people and have the success that I desire, right? So it's a belief of I need to have a better body, which leads to a thought of maybe I shouldn't share this part of my journey because I'm not whatever enough yet, fit enough yet, which leads to you feeling bad and thinking you need to make more progress, which leads to you not taking action to share about a challenge group because you think people are going to say no to you because you don't look like the chick at the at the gym, right? So we really sometimes have to also, in terms of our vision, we have to look at things. And I heard this once and I thought it was so profound. It was a really good friend of mine who's a spiritual mentor, did a live in my challenge group, and she was saying, for example, if you're making $70 a week right now in your Beachbody business, right? And you put, I want to make six figures this year in my business on your vision board, your brain knows that the reality you're trying to get to is so far from the reality you're at right now. It's like your brain can't get on board with believing it, right? So you almost have to put things on your vision board. Like I once in a while used to put these like big ridiculous things on there that were like totally not even achievable in a year, but I was like, those are things I'd more like to happen in like 5 years, right? But the problem is when you put things on there that are not believable to you, like yes, they should be a goal that you have to push for and it's beyond where you're at right now. But what I'm saying is if you find a spot that feels too far that you can't get on board with it, it's not serving you to do that, right? You need to set a goal that is pushing you, that you're working towards, but something that is also something that you can start getting your mind wrapped around to believe, fuck yeah, that is actually possible for me, right? Instead of saying, I want to make 5 grand a month, maybe you're like, okay, it sounds really possible for me to say, I want to make $1,000 a month this year in my business. And then we're going to backtrack on how we actually do those things, because part of why I'm having you get clarity on your vision is because we're going to work on breaking down those visions into bite-sized actionable goals, and then those goals into actionable, what do I actually need to do consistently to work towards that, right? So this whole long spiel was just to encourage you to check in. What is your belief about your ability to have success? Write down what you desire to believe and affirm it daily. And then here's the kicker, the end part of this, because I know somebody's going to be like, well, I don't really believe that I can build a successful business yet because I'm not confident like that. Well, that was me. And what I'm going to tell you is not fake it till you make it. It is to take action to prove it to yourself, and then you believe it, right? Like I took action, I hit diamond. I was like, ooh, okay, like that was a little hit of success and a win. Like, okay, well, if I can get to that, maybe I can get to the next thing, and maybe I can teach somebody else to hit diamond, right? And then taught a coach how to hit diamond, and I was like, ooh, okay, I can do this. Now I can teach somebody else, and now I can teach somebody else. And like every time you push yourself beyond the capacity that you think you're at right now, you build confidence, you build competence, you get more, you get better at what you're doing, and it becomes easier, just like learning how to ride a bike. And then you kind of unknowingly at the same time, you're achieving and doing something that is outside your realm of current belief. And when you do that, it helps you raise that belief level in yourself of like, okay, well, if I could send that invite to her and she could say she's invited my challenge group, well, I could go send 5 more and maybe someone else is interested. Or if I could share that thing that was really vulnerable on social media and I could get so much positive feedback on that, I can keep sharing more things too, right? Like all of those little wins add up over time. And in doing so, they change your belief system. That is why it is absolutely critical to take action, even when you don't know everything, even when you're scared, even when you're not sure, like even if you don't know if you're doing it right or if it's going to get you the outcome you want. Everything is a learning opportunity for you to either do it better, master it, or have the outcome you want. So remember that. Like, it doesn't matter if it didn't work out that first 5 invites you sent, right? You learn how to tweak it and do it differently. Robin, you're probably a great example of this, because I feel like you were doing invites and you were like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not having the results yet. And like, now you're helping people and now you're having people sign up, right? And that's the learning curve. Like, you have to be in this business at every point in time. You have to suck at things long enough to get good at them, right? Like, we have to be willing to be like, I'm not sure what to say, and this is really uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to do it anyways, because the more I do it, the more confident I get, and the more it builds my belief that I'm actually capable of doing this and of doing more. Beliefs are huge. Okay, a CEO mindset. So this was something else that mentors taught me earlier on in my business, was to focus on who you have to become to achieve your vision, not just what you have to do. And I say this because we all know what we have to do, right? It's like, we have to post, we have to do our workouts, we have to drink our shake, we have to follow nutrition plans, we have to talk to people, we have to invite, we have to follow up, we have to send share cards, we have to talk about coaching, right? But the problem is, a lot of us are not focusing enough on who do I need to become to achieve the thing that I desire to become. And a lot of that has to do with working through your self-limiting beliefs, developing, the ability to be more consistent in the actions you take, believing in yourself more, sharing confidently, right? So I wanted you to do this little exercise, and you can share or you cannot, but something to really think about. I want you to think of some of the leaders you admire, and that could be in coaching, it could be, personal development people you follow, it could be whatever, like whoever you follow that you look up to because they've had success in their life in some capacity. What qualities and characteristics do they have that you admire, that have attributed to their success in some capacity, right? Like, think of Christina Delgado, for example. Like, Christina Delgado is incredibly successful in our business. She's confident. She knows who she is. She knows who she wants to help. She has insane amount of belief in Beachbody and what we offer and in the business opportunity. She's funny. Like, there are so many things that I can think of. She's a phenomenal leader. There are qualities and characteristics that if you look at highly successful people or people who have achieved the things that you desire to do, there is often a common thread of qualities and characteristics, right? And that helps us get clear on. For example, I will throw myself under the bus. When I started coaching, I was probably one of the most inconsistent people you have ever met in your life. I am not even kidding. I was not consistent with fitness. I was not consistent with eating healthy. I never did any kind of personal development. When I would have surgeries, I would go to the gym for 2 months. I'd fall off track for 6. I'd start all over again. I would eat healthy Monday through Friday, and then I would eat crap and drink all weekend. Like, I was not by any means a consistent person, except for being consistent with things that were not taking me anywhere.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a little impromptu. Just really.
I don't know.
So it's.
Kelly, what is this? Oh, she's on. Okay. She's signing off. Okay. So, where was I at? Okay. Consistent. So I knew when I started this business, I heard it in literally every single training from every single person that had a successful business in coaching, was like, consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to take action consistently. You have to post consistently. You have to work out consistently. You have to invite consistently. Like, everything was around consistency. And I was like, okay, well, there's got to be something to that, right? And so I challenged myself to be the person who showed up every day and checked off the boxes on my power hours and checked off posting on social media. Like, whatever it was that I knew they were telling me I had to do to be consistent, I did it. And the thing is that when you challenge yourself to do or be something that you don't feel you currently are, there's this weird, awkward growth phase where you're doing it, but it doesn't really feel good to you yet. It's kind of like when you start a workout and you're like, what the fuck? I'm really sore. I don't want to show up tomorrow, but I've got to do it anyways because I know if I want to get to my fitness goal, that's what I've got to do. It's the same thing with business. Like, you have to show up, you have to push through the discomfort, you have to push through that learning curve and the I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try anyways, or I'm going to ask for help, or I'm going to post in the team page, or I'm going to talk to my coach. I have to read books because I'm not really that positive of a person, or I'm really hard on myself all the time, right? Like, investing in personal growth that is going to help you work through your insecurities, doubts, fears, past, whatever. It's been big for me, but also investing in things that are helping you develop the qualities that you want to become. Like, for example, if you suck at time management, you should read the book called Eat That Frog. Or if you're not a consistent person, you should read the book The Compound Effect, right? And take these things you're learning and start to apply them to your life, because that is how we develop these qualities and characteristics. Nobody's just born somebody who's a leader that's consistent and they're positive. They become those people, right? And when we become those people, it's much easier for us to really reach our goals, right? Because we're showing up differently. We're thinking differently. We're acting differently. We're talking differently. We're connecting differently. We speak more confidently. We show up differently, right? So I jotted out some qualities that I was thinking could maybe inspire you in terms of this, because I think these are things that are critical. So consistent, persistent, takes action, open to growth, coachable, confident, willing to take risks, passionate, serves others, independent, compassionate, motivated, resilient, creative, leads by example, looks for the positives, open to growth and lessons, treats business like a business, never gives up. Instead, they pivot and find a way, has boundaries, manages time well, right? So I'm sure you could also come up with a long list of characteristics and qualities of of who it is you desire to become, or things you would like to work on more, right? Because none of us ever have it all figured out. We're always on a growth journey. And depending on what season of your life you're in, I really prided myself on being super consistent. And then the last 2 years of my life, it's not that I wasn't consistent. I just wasn't consistent to the same capacity because of what I was going through personally, right? So it's kind of like when these become standards for you that you strive for, they become less of something that is outside of yourself. Does that make sense? So it's more like, I am a consistent person, which doesn't mean that I'm giving 110% every single day. It just means that I'm going to show up and do my best no matter what that looks like, whether it's a small action or all of the actions that I can possibly do. But because I'm a consistent person, I'm going to show up for my business in some way every single day, no matter what, right? And I think it gives you more of a standard to show up with versus thinking, I'm not a super confident person, so I'm not going to show up in my business until I am. Whereas I'm working on becoming more confident every single day. And every day that I show up and take action or push out of my comfort zone, I become a more confident person. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to prompt you to share. I'm going to put up a post in our mentorship, and no rush on it. We can share it by Sunday or something, but for you guys to share your vision with us. So I'm going to put in there a vision exercise that you guys can do. And I'm also going to put in there a goal sheet for you guys to do, which helps you with your vision. It helps you kind of break down goals in each category of your life that you want to work towards. And hopefully that helps you have more clarity, because like I said, when we don't have clarity of where we're going or what we want to build, it's very hard to feel motivated and show up for our businesses with the sense of urgency that we could be, right? It's totally different where we're like, I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. I'm going to show up for that. So I'm curious if anybody has questions. Saw some things in the chat that I missed. Ooh, yes, Savannah, please share that. That would be awesome. I can't be successful in business because I don't have a large window of time each day to devote to it. Okay, so I think with this said, it's either like, what's that? I don't remember who says it, but it's like, if you want better answers, you have to ask better questions, right? And like, I feel like that's something we have to do to ourselves all the time, because when we have something come up like that, it just feels like it's like a roadblock, right? And it's like, I don't have time, so I can only do so much, and it's not going to happen for me, versus being like, how can I figure out how to have more time, or how can I work my business more effectively so that I have the time to do the things I need to be doing? And one of the best ways to do that is to find people who've done it, is to reach out, like in the difference maker movement, or, you know, you can have me connect you with a couple coaches that I know that work their jobs full time while building a coaching business, and how did they navigate it. I can tell you off the top of my head from reading stuff in the roundtable when leaders ask questions of things to share with their teams, is a lot of these people are doing exactly what you do. They get up early in the morning, you know, they make a pocket of time for 15 or 20 minutes. They make it a pocket of time on their lunch break. They make a little pocket of time for 15 minutes after their kids go to bed. It's nothing fancy. It's more about just getting yourself on board with spending that 1 hour that you can do a day. If you focus on the most effective behaviors, it's going to get you to where you want to go. Right? And it's more believing that, like, who told you you need 5 hours a day to build a successful business? You don't. I can tell you that because I am full time and I definitely don't spend that much time, but it's my day is broken up, right? And the things that I have to do in my business are different than what you have to do. But it's more to say that you absolutely can do those things. It's just about finding a routine for yourself and the pockets of time and doing the most important behaviors in that time that are giving you income and business building, producing activities, and less fluff. And also, because I know you very well, is not stressing about your business when you're not working it. I'm losing my voice. Anybody else have questions, comments? Was this helpful? Kelly's like, yeah, the last 2 minutes were great. Kelly, when you got on and you were still talking, I was like, oh my God, her Meet the Team merged with our call. I'm like, I don't know what happened.
No, I was like yelling at my computer because I don't ever like meet